Welcome to the JP8 report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 report episode 380. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the JP8 report. Oh my goodness, it never stops. I got a page full of notes and I ran out of room for notes and I got more notes and I had to print stuff out. Oh my goodness. Oh, hold on just a second here as we get started. I got to make a phone call real quick. I'm calling my wife. Hold on.
Hello.
Hey, that article I left on the corner of the table, can you bring that to me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. It's important.
Okay. Bye.
Woohoo! Isn't that pretty cool? Man. Just a second, okay? I hope everyone's having a good morning. At 1:45 Eastern, they're supposed to have the arraignment for that guy Cole Allen. So we may be breaking into that, but we find out. All right, you want to say hi real quick?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Oh man, look at that chicken, man. Okay, almost. All right. Well, welcome to the JPA report. As we were getting started, finally, I cannot believe that's the title of my podcast this morning. I left the most important part out there. That's right. I got it now. Thank you, Ann. All right. So, yeah. So click that follow button. Let's get some followers for the podcast. We're standing at 145. Let's try to make it to 150. Okay. Caroline Levitt's doing a Waka dinner shooting briefing right now. That was breaking news. Okay, so click that follow button for me. Let's try to make it to 150 this week. And then click that like button and let's chat. I got one chatter, my main hallway monitor, retired Rob 53. He's in charge right now. And then Covite for Life should be joining us like most rickety tick. All right. So here we go. I'm going to read some of this letter from George Washington. Man, I got a gnat in front of me, man. But I think I'm only going to read a full page of it, and then I'm going to belay it till tomorrow morning because there's just way too much stuff. But since this is part of my JPA report, we have to do the America 250 because it's really, really important to all of us, right? All right, and this is a letter from George Washington to John Hancock from yesterday. There was a sergeant and 12 privates of the 4th King's Own Regiment taken prisoners on board, and others while making 63 souls, among whom there were 4 blacks, 2 men, and 2 women, which I have confined in gaol here, concluding that they may be an esteemed part of. There appeared to be pillage of this cargo by many of the passengers. The property was in him who could secret the most when examining the chests and bedding of the prisoners, I found great quantities of goods that they have collected while on board, which were taken out of the warehouses without packing and hove promiscuously on board the vessel. Even the sailors had provided for their disposal at pleasure. In fact, the destruction of the property under the cover of General Howe's proclamation is unparalleled. I thought it my duty to be critical in examining for cash, which rendered it necessary to insist on close scrutiny, and found about 100 pounds sterling and 63.18.17 pounds on Jackson and 62.16 on Mr. Keeley. Likewise, 159.1.9 pounds on Mr. Jackson in 5 sets of exchange, which I now have in possession. Considering that a man so inimical to his country ought to be disposed of any interest, thereby he could be benefited, added to which there are navy bills, except 60 pounds. The draft Governor Wentworth, on his point, should be obliged by your opinion and direction. I am now discharged the cargo as it is perishing situation, and when selected as a regular course, pursued by the Admiralty, shall advertise agreeable to His Excellency's instructions to General Ward, who, by obliging enough to me to give an abstract, the General Court of this province, finding a difficulty in making a code laws for the Admiralty Court, did not complete the institution in their last session, when they adjourned in June, which elapsed of time will not admit to facilitating the disposal of the prizes under my care. So early, I wish, for the safety of those interested in the Susanna's cargo and the porter, of which I fear may be spoiled by laying so long it has not an equal body, to that commonly imported for sale, which induces me to desire your direction for the disposal of that article. That, sir, is an exact copy of Mr. Wentworth's letter to Mr. Mullen. I now request that you please direct me in what manner I shall instruct the agent respecting his complicated cargo, and whether he may be empowered to dispose of the porter or any of the articles on board the prizes in his care, which in delay of establishing the court of admiralty may be liable to perish. I have not yet heard of any trial of the prizes carried into Massachusetts Bay. This proclamation is intended with the very bad consequences. Some of the vessels I had fitted are now laid up, the crews being dissatisfied that they cannot get their prize money. I have uh, tried I have tired the Congress upon this subject and the importance of it, and makes me again mention that if a summary way of proceeding it is not resolved on, it will be impossible to get our vessels manned. I must also mention to you, sir, that Captain Manley and his crew are desirous to know when they can expect their part of the value of the ordnance stores taken last fall. They are anxious to know that the amount may be as an inventory of cargo in the hands of almost done. Congress. I would humbly submit it to them whether a valuation thereof should not be made, and the captor's dividend be remitted to them as soon as possible. It will give them spirit and encourage them to be alert, looking for other prizes or ships with cargo. So I'm going to stop there. All right. Ah, hey Rob. Richard saying hi. If you didn't see. All right. So that was part of the letter from General Washington to John Hancock. All right. So we got that done. So I got to go here. Nope. Go here. Transition. Alrighty. Now it's time for the armament shop. Whether you're looking for your first firearm, upgrading your setup, or need expert service, Jason at the Armament Shop in Coppers Cove, Premier's Gun Shop for all things shooting. Browse our wide selection of pistols, rifles, and shotguns. Backed by top-tier gunsmithing for repairs, with reloading supplies and professional cleaning to keep your firearm in peak condition. Need a transfer? We make FFL transfers fast, easy, and affordable. Need your CHL? Jason can handle those classes. He has over 3 decades of experience. Visit the Armament Shop today at 115A West Avenue B in Coppers Cove, or call or text at 254-560-2023. And you can always go to www.armamentshop.com. All right? The Armament Shop, your safety, our priority. Awesome people to do business with. They're great people. All right. So, as we get started with the JP8 report, we entertain Iran first. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Iran, Operation Epic Fury, they're still technically a ceasefire, right? Right now, the president is in the sit room with the Secretary of State and probably a whole slew of other people, since he's in the sit room or the Situation Room. He says that they're discussing the proposal by Iran about opening the strait but delaying talks on the nuclear subject, which is, I believe, a non-starter. And Marco Rubio, he is talking about the problem is the imams are in charge of the country, right? And I'll go one step further. Okay, hold on just a second here. Hold on. Okay, so what it says here from the Secretary of State. Secretary of State Marco Rubio revealed that he believes to be the largest impediment to coming to an agreement with Iran in an interview with Fox News Trading on Monday. Rubio referenced Iran's fractured leadership and said Iran's negotiators are in disagreement with other factions within the Iranian regime, severely limiting the scope of peace talks. Other than the fact that the country is run by radical Shia clerics, that's a pretty big impediment. The other is that they're deeply fractured internally, and I think that's always been the case, but I think it's more pronounced now because so many of them are dead. That's my statement. The best way to understand Iran is you have to have a political class now. I think, look, people talk about moderates and hardliners. They're all hardliners in Iran, but there are hardliners who understand they have to run a country and an economy. And there are hardliners that are completely motivated by theology, Rubio said. The hardliners are motivated by theology, not just the IRGC officials, but obviously the supreme leader and the council that surrounds him. And then you got the political class, the foreign minister, the president, the speaker, the moguls. These guys, they're hardliners too, but they understand the country has to have an economy. People have to eat. They have to figure out a way to pay salaries and their government. And so you see a tension, and you always have the system between Iranians who understand, let's be hardliners, but let's also balance that with the need to run a country, and the hardliners who don't care but have an apocalyptic vision of the future, he continued. Unfortunately, the hardliners with apocalyptic vision are the future, vision of the future have the ultimate power in that country. He said, he added, so much for as anything else, one of the impedients here is that our negotiators aren't just negotiating with Iranians. Those Iranians then have to negotiate with the other Iranians in order to figure out what they can agree to, what they can offer, and what they're willing to do, even who they're willing to meet with. That sounds like a big circle jerk. All that's all it is, man. These Iranians need to figure out who's in charge and let them be in charge. All right. It looks like the political class needs to do some type of revolution and make themselves in charge and have a democracy. But when you're looking at it, you have a country of 96 million people, and about 30 million almost are the hardliners of the theocracy that's involved in ruling Iran right now. That's what the problem is. All right. So that's going on in the sit room right now. Uh, okay, so talks are off except for that one proposal, which, like I said, they want to open up the strait and then delay the talks for the nuclear option later, right? Um, the foreign minister of Iran flew home. U.S. part never flew out. This is over the weekend. Trump says they can reach us by phone. It saves a lot in fuel and maintenance on these aircraft. 38 ships, as of this morning, have been turned back. And I just talked to you about the new deal from Iran. Um, per the Secretary of War, our Secretary of War, the great Pete Hegseth, uh, any boat laying mines will be destroyed. Uh, since the 2nd of March, 2,500 people have been killed in Lebanon. There are Hezbollah people. IDF has killed 15 Hezbollah yesterday. And then over the weekend, the IDF shot down a suspicious aerial vehicle in southern Lebanon. All right. And as of about uh, 2 hours ago, Brent crude was trading at 108.70 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate was trading at $97.04 a barrel. And the Dow Jones right now, well, as of 2 hours ago, was trading at $49,060.49. And that's trading down 170.22. That's your Iran update. All right. As we're getting started, please click that follow button and click that like button. Let me get back over here where I can see what's going on. So as we're going to venture down to the White House Correspondents' Dinner shoot-'em on Saturday night. Now, I'm going to leave most of this to the experts because I was in the Army and I did work around the White House Communications Agency and White House Military Office. So there's stuff people are saying that they really shouldn't be saying. So we really all got to be careful because people watch these kinds of programs, and I may not say something all the way, but someone else will say something, and they'll take that piece of the puzzle and put it with this piece of the puzzle, and they'll start putting the whole picture together. So you got to really be careful sometimes with what you're saying, right? So we'll go over the beginnings part of it. All right, so Saturday night about 6:30 our time, that'd be 7:30 there. I think it was closer to 7:30ish. Yeah, 7:30 our time. I was just getting home. Like I said this morning, we were just talking about movies to watch because I was wanting to watch this one movie called Marty Supreme. I haven't seen it yet. And then my wife was talking about we went to a wedding Saturday morning, and they had a quote for the wedding from The Princess Bride, and I was like, I've never seen it. I really don't want to, but she said, "Oh, you need to." And then my other daughter that's staying here with us right now, she said, "No, Dad, you need to watch Baby Driver." Like I haven't seen that one either, and then so when it was like y'all talk it over, I'm gonna go get the mail, and I about hit the front door, and then I got a memo on my watch. It said breaking news. Uh, there's a shooting incident at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I stopped dead in my tracks, looked back and said, put it on the news right now, and we left it on the rest of the evening. That was crazy what all happened there. Um, the guy that did it, so far they're going to have what time is it now? 12:19. So in about 25 minutes, they're supposed to have a news conference about his indictment and stuff. Um, but his name is Cole Allen. He's from 30. He's 31 years old. He's from Torrance, California. He went to Caltech, and he's a teacher. Matter of fact, he's like a traveling tutor. All right. Um, he traveled from. He's like an anti-Trumper, really really bad. He just went to a No Kings rally. He did a manifesto stating he wanted to kill Trump officials and stuff. But he traveled by Amtrak train from Los Angeles to Chicago to Washington, D.C., and he checked into the Washington Hilton on Friday. Right? Uh, he went down the stairwell, and that's when he rushed past the middle cordon toward the ballroom and got tackled and shot at. Right? And then his arraignment is, like I said, in about 25 minutes. Um, so, and then if you're looking at, I mean, you can look at what happened, okay? And like I said, I know some of the stuff, hashtag Dems. Um, so I know about line of succession. You hear stuff about um, designated survivors. There's no such thing as a designated survivor, right? Because you never know who is going to be alive in line of succession. We put like that. Here's breaking news. Hold on. Levitt blames left-wing cult of hatred after Waka dining shooting. Okay, that's White House press secretary. Um, so when you read the lines of succession, what you do is you have the president, vice president, speaker of the House, speaker pro tem. What are the qualifications for president? You must be native born in the United States. You must be 35 years old. You must be a U.S. citizen. Okay? Um, so that applies to the president and vice president are elected, right? And the Speaker of the House, he's elected in his district. And then the Speaker pro tem, Senate pro tem, he is the senior, the senior uh, elected official from the majority party in the Senate that's elected, right? So Chuck Grassley is the senior elected Republican. I believe he is the Senate pro tem right now. So he's third in line to be president after the president himself. And then after that, you have cabinet officials. They're confirmed people in the Senate, and they are established by law and by when they became an official uh, cabinet under the president. Okay, so you got like the Attorney General, Secretary of State, Department of War, stuff like that. It goes all the way down, and the last one is Department of Homeland Security. Now, the only thing that affects them from being eligible for president is they're not a native-born American. They're not 35 years old, and they are not confirmed by the Senate. So if you have someone that's like an acting secretary, like for labor and attorney general, they're not confirmed as cabinet secretary, so they can't be a successor for the president. So you just skip that line down and go to the next one. That's how the situation works. Don't ask me how I know that, how it works, because I know. Don't ask. Don't ask me, and I won't tell. All right. So the little comment about always saying who's the designated survivor, it does not matter because you can have a mass attack on a group of politicians in the cabinet of the president, and that designated survivor may be whatever a missing cabinet member. It'd be like in the National Operations Center, right? Um, and then the Secretary of Education survived a mass attack. Well, she would be the new president if everyone above her was killed. That's how it works, not the person that's off site. All right. So that being said, I hope that makes sense. But in terms of what happened Saturday night, I would say leave that to the FBI and leave that to the Secret Service because we all know the Secret Service by law can investigate the Secret Service, all right? But let the Secret Service and the FBI develop an after action plan and make improvements on that so the Secret Service can adjust fire. The only thing I could see that really bothered me was the fact, besides him, that assailant being able to get past the Charlie cordon and come down the stairwell. That's crazy. That door should have been sealed, but or an agent should have been on it, right? Um, I've been on many places where Secret Service was all over the place. Um, but well, I can tell you. So the only three places I've ever been at was Camp David, Crawford, and I've been on an overseas trip, right? So I got to see everything in action. So I can say that much. Um, but the fact is, when they showed when the vice president was skull drugged, basically, they yanked him out of his chair and pushed him out, and that happened right before the president got tackled and got moved out. I don't know why they didn't have a crash team next to the president out of sight. It looked like most of the people came from the side where the vice president was. I don't know. I want them to be able to hash that out and make the plan to not tell us because I don't want to know. And I don't think the press needs to know. Um, I don't think the Congress needs to know about op orders on orders of the first, second order of effects on operations order on how to protect the president. Like Dan Bongino said this morning, you, what I said, the principle comes first, the target comes second. Okay. Um, if you want a good rundown on exactly how things went this morning, go watch Dan Bongino's podcast this afternoon after this arraignment. Okay. And he was very thorough on what he could and couldn't say because he's restricted by NDAs also. All right. Um, but yeah, take a look at that. And now I have a couple of let's see here. I'm going to read a couple of true socials that the president put out just so y'all could see this. Uh, this first one and on the bottom one is the first one he did. It said, quite an evening in D.C. Secret Service and law enforcement did a fantastic job. They acted quickly and bravely. The shooter has been apprehended. I've recommended that we let the show go on. We all heard about that, right? But we entirely be guided by law enforcement. They will make a decision shortly. Regardless of that decision, the evening will be much different than planned, and we'll just plain have to do it again, President Donald J. Trump. And then right after that, he put out another one. Law enforcement requested that we leave the premises consistent with protocol, which we will do immediately. I will be giving a press conference in 30 minutes from the White House press briefing room. The First Lady plus Vice President and all the cabinet members are in perfect condition. We will be speaking to you in an hour and a half. I have spoken with all the representatives in charge of the event and we'll be rescheduling within 30 days. President Donald J. Trump. All right. And then and what he's alluding to on that was that if the doors open to the event, it's not sterile at that point. So that means they have to clear the room. And just for a matter of precaution, they evac the whole area. Everybody had to leave. Okay, that's the protocol. It's to keep the president and any principal safe in that matter. All right. So hopefully it'll be rescheduled. We'll see. And then he put out another one yesterday. All right. And this other one, this other True Social was What happened last night is exactly the reason why our great military, Secret Service, law enforcement, and for very different reasons, every president over the last 150 years have been demanding a large-scale, safe, and secure ballroom to be built on the grounds of the White House. Uh, this event would never have happened if the military top secret ballroom currently under construction at the White House it cannot be built fast enough. While beautiful, it has every high level security feature there is. Plus, there are no rooms sitting on top or for unsecured people to pour in, and is inside the gates of the most secure building in the world. Uh, the White House. The ridiculous ballroom lawsuit brought by a woman walking her dog who has absolutely no standing room to be bring such a lawsuit must be dropped immediately. Nothing should be allowed to interfere with its construction, which is on budget and substantially ahead of schedule. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. All right. And what he was talking about that about people above or below and stuff like that, I know for a fact when I was on my Oconus trip with the president, uh, my room had to be above his room because of the clearance I held, because they didn't want a non-secure person being able to uh, do anything nefarious to the president's residence, right? So the cleared people that were on the site, and I just happened to be above it, but they would spot them over to provide another level of security, all right? And that's how it works, right? Um, and then, so we got that done. So there's going to be a hearing in about 15 minutes now, but I don't know whether we're going to try tune into it or just keep going with the podcast. Now, uh, and then, there are, I don't know if you heard, but there are a lot of people out there, even extreme right people, I call them wrong people, but saying this looked like it was staged, and it's not staged. I will put it like this. I said this earlier. That's stupid now. Um, if you think it's staged, if you honestly think that this event was staged, go ask the Secret Service man that got shot in his body armor. Okay? Because body armor isn't this huge sleeve shirt and pants that look like an EOD tech, right? That body armor usually is like here, up, and back in. That's all. And on the back and front. That's all it is, right? And maybe a little bit smaller. He got lucky that he only got shot in the body armor, because a couple more inches over, it could have been in his side or his abdomen, right? Or in his upper neck and stuff. Go ask him, all right? So if you want more information on this, I know I'm going to be bringing more about what the arraignment is tomorrow morning on a morning brief. But go back and listen to Dan Bongino, his episode today, and it was really, really thorough. All right. So to keep on going, fun DHS. Oh, let's read this part. All right, from Hakeem Jeffries. All right, it says just days before the apparent assassination attempt on President Trump's life, one of the Democrat Party's leaders, Hakeem Jeffries, called for maximum warfare against Republicans. A House Minority Leader, and that was quote unquote, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries uh, made the inflammatory remark while warning Governor Ron DeSantis against redrawing the state's congressional map ahead of November's midterm elections. Jeffries said that if DeSantis attempted to counter the Democratic gains in Virginia following the state's aggressive gerrymander, Democrats would continue to ratchet up pressure on Republicans nationwide. We are in an area of maximum warfare everywhere, all the time, Jeffrey said Wednesday, which was last week, at a news conference. 3 days later, a California man managed and attempted to assassinate the president Saturday evening at the annual White House Correspondents' Dinner. And it said okay, we got the rest of that. Okay, so where was Hakeem Jeffries when all this took place, right? You got to figure. The rhetoric has to stop. If you look on TikTok, right, or on X, you see the libs of TikTok on there. They found dozens of people with videos egging on anyone that wants to go after the president. And it was unrelenting. You got these people with the big rings in their ears and nose rings so big that you could tie ropes around and lead them away like on a leash. It was ridiculous, right? But they won't stop. And you get it from these Soros-backed and the Chinese guy. And they're pouring money in all these protests and just tormenting the entire Republican Party and President Trump. And they got a term for that. It's called TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, right? They just won't stop because they hate him so much, but they refuse to look at the good he's done in our country. And they're just unrelenting because they want this socialistic type of government in our country, and they won't stop until they achieve it. And I don't have it printed off, but the Revolutionary Communists of America, the RCA, invited Zoran Mamdani, the New York City mayor, and they invited him to ditch the Democrat Party and join their party. That's how inflammatory the whole situation is getting at this point, right? So, cool. But and then Graham Allen this morning says, have you heard anything from Owens or Tucker or Fuentes, those guys, the Hodge twins? You haven't heard nothing from them. They went radio listening silence. We're at 12:37. Okay, so I got that. Now, James Comer, he's the House Oversight Committee chair, right? And he put out here, said James Comer on Saturday's said Saturday's security breach at the White House Correspondents' Center is a direct result of insufficient funding at the Department of Homeland Security, which oversees the U.S. Secret Service. As a result, the House Oversight Committee chair has called for a briefing from the Secret Service to determine how a suspected gunman, Coallen, quickly bypassed a checkpoint and opened fire before being tackled. Following last night's assassination attempt, which this was written yesterday, against POTUS Trump at the White House Correspondents' Center, the White House Oversight Committee has requested a briefing from the U.S. Secret Service. He said that on X. DHS, including Secret Service, has been underfunded for more than 70 days now. It's time to stop the games and fund DHS. The department has faced ongoing financial instability since February. It's been like 63 days since funding lapsed and a government shutdown triggered by political stalemate. During such closures, many essential employees are still required to work without pay until a funding bill is passed, with back pay issued later once funding is restored, which doesn't help in the first place. I mean, yeah, I'd gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger of the day. You can only get so many hamburgers before the diner says, you know what, we need our money, or no more hamburgers, right? If you know what I'm talking about, if you know what I'm talking about, put it in the chat. If you know where that quote is from, okay. Um, Rob is probably the only one, maybe Richard, are probably the only ones that understand that one. Uh, so it says on Saturday evening, Allen allegedly rushed the Secret Service checkpoint at the Washington Hilton Hotel during an event attended by the president and other high-level cabinet officials, and then reportedly opened fire, striking a Secret Service officer who was wearing a ballistic vest. Thank goodness he was wearing that vest, right? I've already explained that part. Fund. The Democrats in the Senate, led by Chucky Schumer, need to fund the Department of Homeland Security now. Not later, but now, right? And pass the SAVE Act. Man, oh. All right, we'll get to that probably tomorrow. Next, the ballroom. All right. So, so Senator Tim Sheehy, Wimpy from Papa. Bingo, you're the winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right. Rich, retired Rob 53 answered my question about who said I'd gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. He put Wimpy from Popeye. Yep. Did you know that, or did you have to look it up on Google? Just be honest with me. I know you're an MI-NCO. Don't lie. Don't lie. Come on, Rob. Did you know that by memory, or did you have to look it up? Come on, answer. I'm waiting for him to answer on the chat. All right. So you know the president was talking about one of the solutions for overcoming the problem with the Washington Hilton with security was to build the ballroom for about 650 people, provide all the security they need for the event. Okay, Rob said he knew that by memory, which is good. Okay. Now, Senator Tim Sheehy from Montana is going to back it up with legislation. All right. So, Senator Tim Sheehy, Republican from Montana, said Sunday he will introduce legislation to approve the construction of a White House ballroom following what officials said is an assassination attempt at the White House Correspondence Center. The Republican lawmakers said he plans to seek unanimous consent in the Senate for the measure, arguing the project is necessary to ensure the safety of the president and other officials attending large events in Washington. That's pretty cool because they can do unanimous consent in the Senate and then go over and do a regular vote in the House and it'll be approved, and then the president signs it. This week I will introduce and seek unanimous consent for legislation for providing express approval for the construction of a presidential ballroom. She said, "It is an embarrassment to the strongest nation on earth that we cannot host gatherings in our nation's capital, including the ones attended by our president, without fears of violence and attempted assassinations." I'll go one step further. Okay? The King of England, King Charles III, is arriving in D.C. today. Tomorrow is a full head of state event for him in his honor and a tent on the south grounds of the White House. Why is that even possible? It should be in a hardened facility with all the majestics and stuff to make it look like it's a Capitol ballroom. All other presidents and prime ministers have their places, but we're the only one that puts ours in a tent. All right? No more tents, okay? The proposal comes as officials renew concerns about security at venues outside the White House perimeter. There is no place for political violence in America. Unfortunately, it seems too many people believe trying to kill our president and members of our government is acceptable, he said. A president of any party should be able to host events in a secure area without attendees worrying about their safety. This is common sense. All right. I'll put it to you like this also. Back in 2020, in the nomination for President Trump uh, uh, for um, for president, um, they had to hold his nomination acceptance speech in a bunch of chairs on the south grounds of the White House, or the Rose Garden, or something like that, and instead of inside of a big ballroom where they could have done it. Right? We'll leave it at that. All right. And then there was at the same time as that legislation is going through. Um, the assistant attorney general for the acting attorney general put this out this morning, and it was supposed to be delivered at 9 o'clock today. Right, dear Mr. Reed, regarding National Historic Trust for the Historic Preservation versus National Park Service. It's an actual court case, right? Uh, Last night, there was an attempt on President Trump's life. This time, the shooter targeted President Trump at the Washington Hilton, the only ballroom in Washington, D.C. suitable to host large gatherings for the president. Another shooter targeted President Reagan 45 years ago there. As history proves, the venue is demonstrably unsafe for the President of the United States because of its size, presents extraordinary security challenges for the Secret Service. Yesterday's assassination attempt on the President Trump proves yet again that the White House ballroom is essential for the safety and security of the President, his family, his cabinet, and his staff. When the White House ballroom is complete, President Trump and his successors will no longer need to venture beyond the safety of and security of the president, his family, cabinet, and staff. When the White House ballroom is complete, President Trump and his successors will no longer need to venture beyond the safety of the White House perimeter to attend large gatherings at the Washington Hilton ballroom. The White House ballroom will ensure safety and security of the president for decades to come and prevent future assassination attempts on the president at the Washington Hilton. Put simply, your lawsuit puts the lives of the president, his family, and his staff at grave risk. I hope yesterday's narrow miss will allow you to finally realize the folly of a lawsuit that literally serves no purpose except to stop President Trump, no matter the cost. Enough is enough. Your client should voluntarily dismiss this frivolous lawsuit today in light of last night's assassination attempt on President Trump. If your client does not dismiss the lawsuit by 9 a.m. Monday, which was a few hours ago, I have no idea what has happened to this one. The government will move to dissolve the injunction and dismiss the case in light of last night's extraordinary events. We will state your position as opposed if we do not hear back from you by 9 a.m. on Monday. I'm available today, which is Sunday, if you'd like to discuss ending this unnecessary, dangerous litigation. And signed Brett Shumati, Assistant Attorney General, Civil Division. All right, I'm putting this over here because I'm going to look that up. I'm going to see if there's a disposition on that, okay? I was stationed in D.C. when Reagan was shot. One of my chatters on there said he used to be stationed in D.C. when Reagan was shot. That was retired Rob 53. All right, so build the ballroom. Dakota's rules in Texas. Okay, all right. So I got to figure out where I'm at here. Okay, before I get to Texas, which is awesome news, right? All right, Florida. You know what Florida's going to look like in a few months? That's what Florida's going to look like in a few months. Ron DeSantis, Governor DeSantis, announced this just about 2 hours ago. This is the future of Florida. It's going to go from 20 Republican, 8 Democrats to 24 Republicans, 4 Democrats. And at the same time, Ron DeSantis invited Hakeem Jeffries down to Tallahassee to be able to stay with him and watch the process happen. Okay? That's sarcasm right there, guys. Hold on just a second. I just got something else in mind. Thought I did. Okay. So, Ron DeSantis unveils new Florida congressional map that would give GOP an extra 4 seats. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis revealed the new redistricted congressional map for the state of Texas, which shows GOP gaining 4 extra seats. And so he's going to justify in just a second about 2020 census. Should the state legislature, which holds a Republican majority in the House, State, and Senate, approve the redrawing, it would then return DeSantis to DeSantis to be signed into law. It would apply to the 2026 midterms. Florida got shortchanged, and Texas did too, in the 2020 census, and we've been fighting for fair representation ever since. DeSantis told Fox News Digital, "Our population has grown dramatically, and we've moved on from a Democrat majority to a 1.5 million Republican advantage, drawing maps based on race, which is reflected in our current congressional districts, is unconstitutional and should be prohibited." And it will, just a few weeks, if not days. Our new map for 2026 makes good on my promise to conduct mid-decade redistricting and is more fairly represents the makeup of Florida today. Currently, the Florida delegation in Congress is represented by 20 Republicans, 7 Democrats, and an additional seat that's vacant. Even though, well, we'll get to that too. The redistricted map proposal comes after Virginia recently approved the constitutional amendment, which is going to get overturned, hopefully. The new Florida. The proposed map redraws Florida's congressional districts to reflect population shifts, consolidating GOP-leaning areas, creating 4 additional Republican-favored seats. Virginia voters have spoken. That was from Spanberger. Who cares about their Secretary General? A source familiar with DeSantis' new map told Fox News that the redistricting proposal isn't as closely tied to Virginia's recent sway toward Democratic seats, and that the decision is more related to the population increases. The governor has been planning this long before what took place in Virginia and continues to be adamant about Floridians deserve fair representation, yes, just like Texas, yes. DeSantis faced opposition from horse minority Hakeem Jeffries, who is most likely picked to serve as Speaker of the House of Representatives should Democrats take back the House in November. So Hakeem Jeffries told Florida Republicans to F around and find out. And then I hope, I didn't see the senator, but I hope the comment from during the news conference in Florida, DeSantis responded to Jeffries' comment with the invitation to come down to the Sunshine State and campaign for Democrat congressional candidates, implying the state's Republican majority would hold strong in the midterm. "Please be my guest. I will pay for you to come down to Florida to campaign," DeSantis said. "I'll put you up in the Florida governor's mansion. We will take you fishing. We'll do all the stuff. There's nothing to do better for Republicans in Texas other than to see Jeffries, Hakeem Jeffries, everywhere in our state." You know what? He's right. He's definitely right. And to go along with that right there, we got that done. Um, okay, I showed you that. Where is that one I wanted to tell you about? Hold on. I'm going to get to Texas in just a second. Oh, yeah, right here. Ex-Congresswoman McCormick is still registered to run for re-election despite having resigned from office amid congressional and federal probes for allegedly mishandling her disaster. Um, if you look at the map, I'll put the map back up, right? If you look in the northeast corner in Congressional District 5, that is Jacksonville. Guess who? Um, guess who serves in oh, wait a minute. She's not from Jacksonville. I thought she was from Jacksonville. She's from Fort Lauderdale, which is way down there by 27, right? Well, she's gonna be ruled out of office, so we don't have to worry too much about her. But seeing her get found guilty and being rushed off to jail, right? I thought she was from Jacksonville, Florida. I always said she was from Jacksonville. She's from Fort Lauderdale. I've been in Fort Lauderdale. I was not impressed with Fort Lauderdale. All right, onward. Got that right there. I got that one done right there. Texas, my Texas. All right. Texas received the win from the Supreme Court this morning for 6-3 because we redistricted last summer, and that's when our state Democrat went to California, Chicago, Washington, D.C., all right? And they bailed. Matter of fact, they just got fined $8,300, every single one of them that fled from Texas during our special sessions. So we approved our maps, and then someone immediately filed a lawsuit. A local judge, yeah, there we go. Texas flags. Give us Texas flags. Someone filed suit. The suit won over by the opposition. We appealed it to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which was we won that one, and the people appealed it to the Supreme Court. I think that's how it went. Well, let's just read it. But it's 6-3. All right, because it was a monstrosity of what happened in our special legislative sessions. The Supreme Court handed down a victory for the Republican Party on Monday, striking down a lower court's ruling that blocked Texas's plans for withdrawing its congressional districts. The court hung its order on reasoning from a previous ruling in Abbott versus League of United Latin American Citizens, called LULAC, but did not elaborate. The three justices, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson, all dissented. The decision comes after the Supreme Court temporarily greenlit the state's map in December. That's so we could all file for office, right? Both states spearheaded, and they're talking about California also. Both states spearheaded the mid-cycle redistricting fights that have been now cropping up across the country. And the High Court's approval of both states' maps, giving Republicans and Democrats 5-seat advantages, respectively, served to cancel each other's out ahead of the midterms. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, a Republican, asked the Supreme Court last year to pause a 3-judge panel in the Western District of Texas that found 2-1 that raised was too much a factor in the redraw, and that the state had improperly attempted to pack Latino and black voters in the new district, in which we didn't. If you look at our redistricting map, it was fair, very fair. The Department of Justice also chimed in, telling the High Court to intervene and reverse the lower court's decision, saying Texas's choice to change its map was driven purely by partisan objectives and not racial objectives, and did not violate the Voter Rights Act. The voting and immigrant rights groups who challenged Texas and Abbott claimed the map was illegally racial gerrymandered. The High Court granted a 6-3 temporary in December, finding an unsigned order that the groups had committed at least 2 serious errors, including that they did not extend the Texas legislature the presumption of legislative good faith, which is they fled. It went AWOL. Monday's decision by the Supreme Court summarily reverses the lower court's decision and keeps the Texas map alive indefinitely until 2032, in which we will receive 4 more congressional districts. The second error, the justices said, was that the groups did not offer alternative map that served Texas's state political needs. The High Court said in December, order the lower court should also not have interfered with an active primary campaign, because we had already started the filing from November 15th to December 15th. In the dissent, Keegan, an Obama appointee, criticized the conservative majority for the Regis to play act a district court. The court's stays guarantees that Texas's new map, and with an enhanced partisan advantage, will govern next year's elections in the House of Representatives. Kagan wrote, and this court stays ensures that many Texas citizens, for no good reason, will be placed in electoral districts because of their race. That is not the deal. She needs to go back to Florida, where she came from, and see what's going to happen there. Because what happened here is going to happen there. Because we're not bound by state redistricting commissions. We can do anything by our state legislature. Man, all right. Well, that's Texas. And now if you really want us to, we can put the final 3 or 4 seats in the Texas column too, and make the whole state all red if y'all want to do that. So that is, man, we're already past 1 o'clock. Man, I hadn't even been looking at, have people been watching the podcast? If you are watching this, even on demand, and hit that follow button and click on that like button also. All right. So we're almost out of time, but I'm going to read a couple more things here. I didn't even get to. There's stuff in the Texas scorecard that I read this morning that I'm not even going to get to. Right? This is unbelievable. Is there another? Hold on just a second here. I read that. I showed that. Okay. I'm up to speed. So the last thing I'm going to read. So we know what happened Saturday night, right? We know what happened late Saturday night with the press conference, and then Sunday morning, the president was being interviewed by, I believe, Hosni Osni, I think that's her name, on Fox. And then he got interviewed by Norah O'Donnell on 60 Minutes, which is unbelievably, like Rob told me earlier, she needs to retire. I would say she probably needs to be fired. But she interviewed the president and tried to embarrass the president and got caught with her. Got caught bad. So President Trump berated CBS News correspondent Norah O'Donnell in 60 Minutes Sunday night after reading from the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting suspect's alleged manifesto. Trump, and it's one of those we gotcha type deals because she didn't tell him that she had the manifesto. Trump sat down for an interview after authorities identified the suspect as 31-year-old Cole Allen Torrance, California, adding that he prepared a manifesto outlining his intent and shared anti-Trump and anti-Christian rhetoric on social media. And I'm going to read this this morning. I didn't read it. I thought about it later on. I heard the president talking about it, so I guess I can talk about it now. O'Donnell read alleged portions of the document that alluded to concerns over a rapist and a pedophile and asked for Trump's reaction. Quote, well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would because you're horrible people, unquote. Trump answered, quote, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist and I didn't rape anyone, unquote. And then she said, do you think he was referring to you? And then the president said, I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with all stuff that's nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein and other things. But I said to myself, I'll do this interview. And they probably, I read the manifesto, he's a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself because of that, reading that, because I'm not any of those things, Trump said. O'Donnell interrupted to argue that she was quoting from the alleged gunman's words, but Trump called her disgraceful. And then it finishes up. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead. Let's finish the interview, Trump said. During the interview, Trump also was non-committal about whether he believes the shooting will change his relationship with mainstream media. Then he said, look, well, for whatever reason, we disagree on a lot of subjects. We talk about crime. We're very strong on crime. It seems like the press isn't. It's not much the press. It's the press plus the Democrats because they're almost one and the same. It's the craziest thing, Trump said. Fox News reached out to the White House for a comment. Trump last appeared on 60 Minutes in November 2025. I guess he likes living in her head. But I say it's unethical what she did to the president. And I hate we got you type politics, and that's we got you type deal. She doesn't care. The mainstream media doesn't care. All of them, right? And they'll do whatever they do to try to catch the president in a lie. And he's already told them over and over and over again, he did not do none of that, and he's been proven innocent of all that. All right, so, man, I got most of this covered. So, this coming Saturday, I'm going to put this up here. This coming Saturday, we have Coryell County Republican Party runoff meet and greet in Gatesville at the feed mill from 11 to 1. And then all the candidates that are in the runoff here in Coryell County are invited to come and to be a part of it. And then we're going to have a county executive committee meeting at 1 o'clock to go over some stuff for our monthly meeting that we were required to have. And then we're going to reciprocate and have it again on the 12th of May in Copper's Cove at Giovanni's in coordination with my organization, the Copper's Cove Conservative Club, right? And that's going to be at Giovanni's at 6 p.m. And then all candidates are going to be there. And also, we're going to try to get our state representative there. I have not heard yet if she's going to be there or not. And then tonight at Papa's Cafe in Harker Heights is the is the West Side Conservative Coalition's meeting. Everyone is invited to come. It's at Papa's Cafe in Miller's Crossing at 6 p.m. All right. I will be there too. So that is the JPA report so far right now. My socials, if you want to get a hold of me, I'm on X at James Pierce Jr. I'm on Facebook at James A. Pierce Jr. I'm on YouTube at the JP8 Report 67. I'm on True Social at James A. Pierce, and you can send me an email at jp8report at gmail.com. All right. So, whew, 10 after 1. Hold on just a second before I let y'all go. All right. Right here, go back one more time. Refresh. Reduce. Okay. It does not look like they've had the meeting yet. Okay, so I'm going to go watch it on TV in just a few minutes. All right, let me put this back on my screen here. How's everyone going? All right, so before I let you go, I'm going to try one thing if they let me do it. I'm going to do a quick ad read for everyone before I lose my voice. All right. You've probably noticed Rumble is growing fast and is not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech, and that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. Now there's Rumble Premium, an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform, no pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content you came for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind the scene drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. Just go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout. That's rumble.com/premium. Promo code STUDIO. No ads, more freedom, and content you can actually care about. That's the deal. And all right, cool. So thank y'all for letting me read that. I've been using the Rumble Premium for onwards of 6, maybe 7 years. I love it. I do it all the time. You can see by the little Rumble mark by my name that I'm actually in it. All right. So, yeah, jump on that. Okay. There's rumble.com/premium. Promo code is studio. All right. So I will be back tomorrow morning, hopefully with a lot more information and with Iran and with this shooting thing and about the stuff about redistricting. All right. Because there's a hearing on today in the Supreme Court of Virginia about the referendum they had last week. So hopefully we'll get some type of update on that, all right? So this is James Pierce with the JP8 report. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm out.